The Red Cross and Emergency Services Management are on the scene and they're taking care of the situation, but the first people to greet those evacuated were just Good Samaritans.
Now, it was right here that she saw something suspicious, something out of the ordinary, and something that she knew just wasn't right. Stoplights at each of the intersections have these cameras that are mounted on them. Now, let's give you a better look at what they actually look like if we zoom in here. These cameras. It's the first day of a new year here in Pasco, and one of those choices has already cost someone a life.
Let me show you what it looks like from my point of view. Mud being kicked up around here. It's getting messy. It smells like gasoline.
When the family found a noose here hanging in the garage, the marks on his neck started to make sense. Lights being designed lower and lower to the ground, you know that it's for a safe reason. We're live in Kennewick tonight. Dongranese, NBC Right Now. Roy Rosales sent me this message back in September with his concerns. He believed local veterans were being turned away from emergency funding that they needed, and he was one of them. After months of research, digging through paperwork, and bringing these concerns to the attention of Benton County officials, we found a problem that could hurt men and women who fought for our country.
It really boggled my mind, and it made me feel a little bit unworthy. Why am I being denied such a simple service?
A simple service, but one that he needed at that time. It all started here at the Kennewick VFW. You submit an application and you either get the funding or you don't, or in this case, those tax dollars don't get put to use in a way they're intended to.
When I asked them why am I denied these benefits, I told them I have an honorable discharge. And they said it's because I did not meet my initial military obligation.
Rosales was only 1 month shy of his 4 years of service before his commanding officer released him. His obligation ended there. The state of Washington legally defines a veteran with multiple definitions. You either meet one or the other and you're a veteran. But that's not how it worked in Benton County.
Fellow veterans stating that they were following rules and regulations.
But the wrong way. Pat Powell has led the Veterans Advisory Board for years, and he even wrote a letter to a Washington legislator when he questioned the law. He thought a veteran had to meet both legal definitions. He also thought the honorable discharge didn't warrant what he called entitlement.
Sorry, you're not eligible because this is how we interpret the RCW. How can someone sit there, especially another veteran, say, sorry, Mr. Veteran, you're not qualified?
Now, these people on this Veterans Advisory Board, they're just citizens.
That's correct, but that's why we have them to advise us on, what the decision is, and we take that advice very seriously. And if they feel that someone doesn't qualify, then we usually take that advice and move forward with that.
What if they were wrong in this case?
If they were wrong in this case, then we would make every effort to rectify that.
Rosales had used the fund back in 2010. He had no issues. So when he applied again this past September, why the sudden change?
It's a good question.
If someone was served in the past that was not eligible now, then that must have been in error in the past. And that's, really all I can say about it.
So you think it was an error in the past and not an error currently?
Mm-hmm.
Rosales decided he wanted to appeal the decision, not just for himself, but for a number of other local veterans who could be in the same boat.
How long and how much more do other veterans like myself who are being, let's say, discriminated against or chosen from are going to suffer when we are in need?
Benton County commissioners recently heard both sides at a special hearing, and after noticing the mistakes made, granted Rosales his appeal.
A veteran is a veteran in my eyes. Doesn't matter if he lives in a mansion or he lives in a cardboard box. We all served. There's a brotherhood, and we need to respect that.
Because of his appeal and the concerns that he brought up, the county will change their policy and the way they deal with the Veteran Relief Fund, making sure that the money gets to the right people. In the studio, Don Granese, NBC Right Now.
While I was standing there trying to talk to him, he was pointing his gun at me, and his finger was on the trigger. His hands were shaking, and I've never experienced anything like that before in my life. I thought that day I was going to die.
It was a warm July evening when then off-duty Deputy Erickson came across his neighbors, Leo Garcia, Rick Howard, and Howard's wife Vicky, in what appeared to be an argument. His 6-year-old and 4-year-old daughters were with him, coming outside to play in their quiet Pasco neighborhood.
They had no idea what was going on, And that really scared me, because I thought either they were going to see me die, or they were going to die, or they were going to see Rick die.
Erickson quickly noticed Howard was inebriated, possibly suicidal, with multiple guns out on his front porch. He was a danger, and his kids were walking right into it.
So I turned back to Rick, and I plead with Rick, basically, that I know you wouldn't want to hurt my children. You love my children. You know, accidents happen. Your gun could go off. You know, please put the gun down. He tells me that if I come back outside with any of my guns, that he would shoot and kill me.
So he brings the kids inside. Knowing Leo and Vicky are still out there seeking cover, it's time for serious help.
Can you have County 16 respond to my residence emergency?
Erickson, who's now watching the situation from his first floor window, grabs his gun. As he's on the phone with emergency dispatch, he hears a shot from inside the Howard's home.
He starts to lift the gun up and point it in at Leo. And I thought that he was going to shoot Leo at that time. And so I took my gun and I punched it through the screen and started shooting at Rick.
Shots fired. Leo, get out of the way! Rick, put the gun down!
The deputy's shots weren't fatal. They sprayed Howard's porch and forced him back inside.
Leo, lay on the ground.
But Leo was still out there in the street. Using his portable radio, Erickson communicated with the SWAT team now on the scene and helped guide them to extract Leo from behind a car and Vicky, who had been in a neighbor's yard.
I'm grateful that we were protected, that everyone's safe, and it really just aligned our priorities and just kind of reminded us that family is important.
It's something that fueled many of Erickson's decisions that day: family, protecting them and his neighbors' lives. But it still came with a tragic end.
It was a very difficult day. I thought I was going to die, and I thought Leo was going to die, and I thought my kids were going to die.
When Howard was eventually shot and killed by officers that night, Erickson knew he wouldn't be saving everyone that day.
There's nothing else like it. After you're involved in a shooting, you feel very alone, and that's scary, because I have a wife and kids and I have a house, and I know that when I put this uniform on every day, I potentially put that at risk.
But it's taking that risk sometimes even when the badge isn't on that makes Jason Erickson a Red Cross real hero. Granese, NBC Right Now.
It's like this. When I was little, I just used to ham bone, and that was all I just did. I started when I was like 4 years old.
Sometimes the music just drums right through him. Devin Adams is a drummer that loves the Seahawks, so when you combine the two, you get a dream come true. Devin got to play with Blue Thunder at CenturyLink.
Being on the field and then hitting that big old huge 8-foot drum. When I ushered out the defense. Oh my God, that was so cool, man. It felt like I was one of the, I wasn't on, and only honorary members get to hit that big drum.
He didn't realize his time at the game was only about to get better. Marshawn Lynch, known for not signing many autographs, liked Devin's story so much, he took his jersey.
He just, no questions asked, just walked up, done. Wow. Signed it. Beast mode.
So of course, seeing the Hawks head to the Super Bowl made the experience even better.
I felt like I was so appreciative of that. Oh my God, it was so beautiful.
In Hanford news, Governor Jay Inslee says the state is going to file a motion in federal court. There's no reason to freak out just yet because we have you covered. Carl Hensley is standing by for us at Max's Bar and Grill in Yakima with your game plan for the Super Bowl Sunday. Hey Carl, what's going on down there? The father of a 16-year-old Richland girl who was killed by a car while crossing the street 3 years ago says losing her has changed his life.
Good morning. You want to say? Good morning. Yeah, exactly.
Hawks. Can you say go Hawks? October and November are the two busiest months for vehicle-wildlife collisions, both statewide and nationally.